Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for advisors on how to stay ahead of the game in the crowded middle market. We are very excited to have you here, so thank you for joining us. Just to make sure if you guys can hear us, let us know in the comments section. We would hate to go through this webinar and figure out that you guys can't hear us, so just let us know. First things first, I'm going to take you through our agenda for today. We'll cover introductions and then dive into the trends you've probably been noticing in the middle market. Then we'll jump into Axial and what it means for you and your business development. After that, we'll touch on how our invite-only events and curated introductions supercharge your business development. And finish off with some concluding remarks, plus a Q&A period if any of you guys have questions at the end. So, let's kick off with introductions. My name is Ariel Schneidman. I'm a product marketer here at Axial, and I'm with our head of business development, Jane Mooney. Jane was an investment banker at Goldman Sachs in the healthcare, consumer, and retail group, so she's definitely plugged in into what's going on in the middle market. So without further ado, I'm going to let Jane take it away.
Thank you, Ariel. And thanks everybody for taking time to join us today. So we'll jump right in. One of the first major trends that we've seen is the growing abundance of capital for buyouts coming from the private equity space. By the end of 2016, the industry saw 319 new private equity firms launch, and a total number of assets under management continue to increase year over year. It was nicely put by Ramsey Goodrich of Carter, Morris, and Matthias when he said, "There are 10,000 potential buyers out there for any one given company. This just makes your jobs a little bit harder." It's worth noting that the chart we're showing is inclusive of all private equity firms. So, given this information, how does this increase in the private equity firms specifically impact you in the lower middle market? With the increase in firm counts and more dry powder to be put to work, the private equity space is seen with increasing competition. Thinking about that their focus is sourcing deals, it's worth looking at some details of how private equity firms cover intermediaries. Sutton Place Strategies Deal Origination Benchmark Report, released in October, is a report based on 129 private equity firms that qualified. The table on the right shows what the market coverage of intermediaries looks like for these firms. You can see that the coverage of the lower middle markets is drastically different than the coverage of the upper middle markets. As more lower middle market deals become advisor representative, proprietary deal flow is almost impossible to come by for these private equities. Leading firms have been doubling down on unique intermediary relationships. Nadeem Malik of Sutton Place Strategies said, "Boutique advisors represent the greatest opportunity for private equity firms to improve their market share of relevant deal flow to boost their funds' return." Another trend we have seen is a number of these newly formed private equity shops we discussed on the previous page are choosing to take a middle market and lower middle market focus. Private equity firms are not the only players that have moved into the lower middle market transaction space. Family offices provide a unique buyer profile for the companies you represent. To summarize what Nick Veronis of iCapital Network said, single family offices deliver value to company owners beyond just the check they write. They can provide the companies they invest in a less time-constrained investment horizon than the private equity firm competitors, and they can give access to their own personal expertise as well as provide access to their proprietary networks. Family offices have begun to push further into direct investments, cutting out the private equity middleman and the fees tied with those investments. This shift is driven both by the desire of the family offices to seek higher returns, but it's also to reinvest and encourage entrepreneurialism, which is where the source of many of these family office wealth creation occurred, as well as deriving tighter connections with their assets as these family offices are starting to cross generations. Increased investment in direct investment is projected in the future. The report currently produced by iCapital Networks, which surveyed 157 family offices, stated that 66% of these family offices indicated a likelihood of increasing direct investments in their portfolios. These two structural shifts in the lower middle market buyer landscape really impact how you need to think about your business development. The old way of doing business is just no longer enough. Each new private equity fund that enters the market, because of the shifts we just discussed, is going to mean more connections to be made, more portfolio companies to track. All the new family offices that are coming in are more potential buyers that you need to stay on top of to get your deals done with the right parties. Larger firms are moving downstream to the middle market, which is increasing competition. Earlier this week, there was an article about how Goldman Sachs is moving down into the middle market. With more intermediaries focused on the middle market, competition is only going to continue to increase in the lower middle market. Your network can be a strong differentiator, and this is why business development is becoming more important every day. Lower middle market firms are constrained by limited resources. In our work that we do on a daily basis, middle market sell-side intermediaries tell us that the biggest issue they face is resource constraint. There's too much to get done with too few people. Business development is an easy place to cut time, as it doesn't seem as important when you're in the midst of a deal. But this can cause you to lose ground, keeping up and making sure your network is up to date. Richard Rivero, a former colleague of mine at Goldman, was recently speaking about digital disruption in investment banking. He said something that really resonated with me, and it really is close to what we're trying to do here at Axial. Richard said, the growing use of technology, it's about growth, better client coverage, deeper insights, and empowering our people to become better investment bankers. Face-to-face relationships still matter, but going forward, we can enrich our relationships through technology. Yes, technology can help cut costs and create efficiencies, but it can also create the opportunity to do more. Axial is targeted to supercharge the work you're already doing in business development and the way you're working. Efficient and streamlined business development and marketing are necessary to stay ahead of interest that the buy side indicates, and this is where Axial comes in. We can create more speed and efficiency at the beginning of your deal process through assisting with pre-market buyer identification, drive more productive initial conversations because you know what the buy side is looking for. We can get you through the NDA process faster and into what's most important, the deal making. Let's jump into some of the obvious ways that Axial can help you, and then I'd love to talk about some ways that you might not be as familiar about that Axial can really help create business development opportunities for you. One of the most obvious ways that Axial can help you is in your deal process. The key to Axial is our database of real-time buy-side and lender intent. Putting the right buyer in front of your client, it takes the right knowledge. This knowledge has been in the past developed over years and years of experience through your experiences and the transactions that you've gone through in your markets, your regions, and your industries. This experience is really valuable, and it sets you up for the success you've had today. But we at Axial, we want to supercharge what you're already doing. As Richard said from Goldman, I love that quote, technology, and specifically Axial, create the opportunity for you to do more. Axial's confidential, it's fast, and it's an efficient way for you to continue to uncover and connect with new buyers that you might not have thought about before. But the deal process is not the only way Axial can support your day-to-day business development. Here at Axial, we're a connections company. Some other ways we can work with us outside of your deals are you can leverage Axial Forum to increase your firm's presence. Axial Forum is our knowledge hub. It has over 42,000 subscribers. We produce our own content as well as work with our members and help them get their content distributed to a greater audience. One example of this is a recent article that was produced by Michael Richman from the DAC Group on private equity minority investments. You can see here, we just brought that up for you, that Michael's name is highlighted at the top, and it's a really nice article that he was able to produce for us. Another example is that we at Axial wrote a synopsis of a white paper that TM Capital produced on AI and machine learning in the healthcare startup scene. Nora Zhu, one of our editors, wrote this really nice article highlighting TM Capital, which allows you to link to them and their website directly, as well as to get to that article and the white paper that they wrote to be able to read more. Some other ways that Axial, that you can use Axial's platform itself outside of active deals are marketing your firm on Axial and connecting to buyers through pre-market deals. I'm going to talk about this stuff a little bit later. We also have open and invite-only events focused on deal-centric business development, as well as curated introductions that are made by our in-house team here at Axial. Now, as I said before, I think it's worth showing you how you can use Axial on some of these fronts that are outside the active deals that you may be bringing to market. So let's dive into the product at this point. Okay, so to start here, This is the home page, and we're working in a background of our normal products. So everything here is just for this demo purpose. So one of the first things that I started on and was beginning to say is how you can use Axial to market your firm. So let's go in. We're going to actually pull up Rush Street Capital. It's one of our M&A advisory firms that's on our platform, and they have a really nice profile built out. And so when you're working on the platform and connecting to people through deals, oftentimes if the other party doesn't know who you are, they're going to want to go into your profile to read more about your experience, the transactions you've done, who your people are. So Rush Street Capital did a really nice job here. So they have a general overview. They're located, you can see here, they're located in Chicago with a link to their direct website. And as you scroll down, you can see they actually have some buy-side intent. So they have an open buy-side project. And then this is kind of the really good meat of what they're doing. They have updated their transactions. So these are the tombstones that show the deals that they've recently done. Here at Axial, we show the date, the parties that were involved, and we locate and target which industries it was in. This is a really great overview of kind of the work the firm has done so that you know when you're getting into a transaction with them, where they're coming from, the experience they bring to the table. So this is why it's important to make sure that your information is updated on Axial. This is free marketing for your firm. It's also nice to be able to see who the team is. This is the active Axial team, and you can see them and their pictures here, which is always really nice to put a face with the name. So the other item that I was going to talk about a little bit that I think people are a little less familiar with is pre-marketing deals through the platform. So oftentimes you'll come in and you're drafting up a deal, you want to start to look at your buyer list, but you know this deal is going to go active relatively shortly. Axial can also be used for pre-marketed deals, and you can use the outreach capability for that as well. And so I just want to go through and show you how that's a little bit different. So I created Project Blue Jay. We'll just jump in here. And drafting a pre-market deal is relatively similar, but it's worth highlighting a couple of the nuances. It's important to be very clear to the buy side or the lending realm of what you're actually looking to do here. So if you include pre-market into the project headline, they're able to see right away that this is you kind of testing the waters. Also, it's worth it to include it in the company description. And here I actually said this is coming to market in January of 2018. So I was able to give a timeline, which will allow them to better figure out if this is something they can action upon. Pre-marketed deals tend to be deals that you don't want to give as much information away. So you can still keep the company descriptions pretty high level. Just give enough information to the buy side that they're able to really understand enough to be able to make a decision and an educated decision in that sense. The only other area that's a little bit different is the financials. With a pre-marketed deal, you might not have specifics at that point, or you might not want to share them. Don't feel bad about putting higher level financials in the document as long as they're true to form. And so at that point in time, once this is drafted up, you can go ahead and take a look at your transaction partners. This is that one-way mirror that we provide at Axial to be able to see who is out in the market looking for the deals that you're bringing. So let's just take, for instance, that we're just going to go ahead and click the first party here. So Manan has, let's just say you've done your research and Focus is somebody you want to go out to with this transaction. You've taken a look at all the information we provide here and you've set this list. What you can do here, and this is where we've made some updates this past summer that are really helpful, is if you go ahead into your contacts, you can customize your outreach. So in this situation, what you might say to Manan is, I wanted to reach out to you regarding a firm we were going to be bringing to market early in the new year. Financials are very high level, and we're pulling together a potential buyer list and wanted to know if you're interested. Happy to jump on the phone and discuss further. So at this point in time, you've done everything you can to indicate to the other side that this is pre-market, but you just want to know the intent of the other side so you can start to develop a refined list of buyers. In this situation, again, this is all happening behind the scenes. I'm going to go ahead and privately share this just to kind of show you. So once you've shared the pre-marketed deal, you can go ahead and see that Manan's phone number comes up here. You can jump right on the phone and give him a call and start that connection moving forward. So that was a little bit of the product and how you're able to use the product probably a little bit differently than you might have thought of before. The other ways Axial is really focused on driving your business development forward is through our events. Axial events are completely focused around your BD efforts with no service providers. We hold a number of different types of events around the country throughout the year. In 2018, we'll be holding events in the cities listed at the right side of this slide. Our events span from large networking events to smaller, intimate, invite-only events. Axial Concord is our flagship event. It'll be held in Dallas, Chicago, and New York this year. Concord is a full day of up to 15 pre-scheduled, relevant one-on-one meetings. We work with all the attendees ahead of time to schedule meetings based around active, pre-market, and other upcoming deals they have to make sure the day is productive and efficient. We typically host around 150 to 200 attendees. The breakdown of that attendee list is roughly 30% investors, 30% intermediaries, 20% private companies, 15% lenders, and 5% strategic buyers. Moving into the next type of event that Axial has are our Axial Summits. These are smaller evening deal sourcing events that we hold in top tier cities. We host around 50 to 100 attendees at these events, and the team also assists ahead of time scheduling around 2 to 3 one-on-one meetings to start the event. And then the second half of the event is generally networking over cocktails. I'd like to jump back into the platform quickly to show with the customizable email function that we have released on Axial, we can use the platform and connect it to our events, and you can reach out and get ahead of meeting with parties that you have scheduled at the event. So let's just, for instance, we're back here in the platform. Let's just say you have a deal that you want to share, and you're meeting with Kevin O'Malley at the upcoming Concord event. So you can go ahead into the contact, and what you can do at this point is you can say, Kevin, look forward to meeting you. If I could type better. Look forward to meeting you at Concord. Here is a deal we are working on that I would like to chat with you about. So here you're able to reach out to Kevin, give him some high-level statistics of deals that you're working on without going into too much information. But now Kevin's going to walk into that meeting already knowing what you guys want to talk about, details of the deal, so he can be prepared with some good questions for you. So just like the last one, you go ahead and you'd have this customizable email. You'd share this high-level information with him. You just simply hit privately share teaser, and Kevin will flip over to your contacted targets list. You can also, at that point in time, if you want to follow up with a phone call, you're welcome to reach out and call Kevin. So outside of our open events, we at Axial also hold invite-only events throughout the year. These are what we consider micro events. They range from about 15 to 30 attendees and are held in the form of breakfasts or dinners. An example of a recent event we held was a family office and intermediary breakfast in New York City here in October. We had about 10 senior level attendees from both the family office side and the intermediary side. These events are very carefully curated to get well-suited parties in the room that happen to be working on similar types of deals or working in similar industry verticals. Axial takes our network and the power of connections seriously. We also make offline introductions between our active and engaged buy-side and sell-side members. These introductions are carefully curated. As we get to know more about you and your firm, we want to try to help fill the gaps in your network.
Awesome. Thanks, Jane. And, as a product marketer here, I really want to stress that Axial is a connections company. While we connect our members with relevant opportunities, with real-time intent through our proprietary technology, that's honestly just one half of the pie. Our invite-only events and offline curated introductions are what tie this network together for a unique solution that you won't find anywhere else in the market. It's really the best of both worlds. Smarter technology with a real human touch. It's a true 21st century solution that'll give you the edge you need to stay ahead of these trends we're seeing in the middle market. So to conclude, I highly encourage you to sign up to our newsletter, Radar. We have one for buyers, but we also have one solely dedicated to advisors. The link there is where you can sign up. If you're a current member and you have questions, get in touch with your Axial rep. They are here as a resource for you to make sure you're successful. So please don't hesitate to contact them. And finally, if you're interested in learning more about how Axial will speed up the beginning of your deal process, please get in touch with us at advisors@axial.net.